What's going on, boxing fans? I'm back here with another video here set for you guys. Gonna be talking and breaking down the fights that happened this weekend in terms of boxing. Gonna be talking about the George Kambosos fight and as well as the PBC on Prime Video card as well. Now talking about the George Kambosos fight that happened earlier this Saturday, about 4 o'clock in the morning. I believe it was Australian time by over there. You had George Kambosos going against Jack Wiley, a late replacement that was going against Kambosos, and Kambosos did exactly what he needed to be able to do to get the victory over Jack Wiley. It was a really nice grab. Kambosos actually looked pretty good in this fight, but Jack Wiley was definitely game, especially with him being a late notice replacement. I forgot who the guy who was actually supposed to go against George Kambosos, but it was some type of guy around this type of level of Jack Wiley. Well, it seems that whenever there's a term of like a tier, a fighter like a Jack Wiley, or maybe a little bit lower, or maybe just a tad bit higher, George Kambosos does what he needs to be able to do and gets the job done. But in terms of him going against, top level names, twice he had the loss against Devin Haney where he got completely outclassed. He got dominated and knocked out by Lomachenko. So, in terms of him upping the competition, yes, he's always there and he's always game. He has the tremendous victory over Teofimo Lopez in an absolutely bloodblast of a fight that was. But George Kambosos, man, now him looking to be able to look at other fighters in his division that has a name, or are prospects like Richard Hitchens, also as well as maybe a matchup with Regis Prograis. Jack Catterall is also names that could be able to go against him. So there's names of those ilk that can go against George Kambosos. I think if you go to a higher level with George Kambosos, you kind of already know what you're gonna get. Dude that is rough, gritty, has heart, is tough, can compete, but in terms of skill and that top tier level of boxing talent, it's not there. But Kambosos gets the victory. Now moving on to the PBC on Prime Video, we had a fight card that I believe that was on Prime Video, and we start off with Terrell Gausha versus Elijah Garcia. Gausha, pretty much a wily vet type of fighter. He's been throughout the ins and the outs. He's been through a lot of fights that already losses. 4 losses for a boxer already is like, he's past his prime. He's washed. He's absolutely terrible. But Terrell Gausha still has a lot left in the tank, and he definitely showed that in this fight against Elijah Garcia. Terrell Gausha gets the knockdown in the first round in a beautiful right hand right down the pipe that landed perfectly. And especially throughout the rest of the fight that you want to be able to watch between these two guys. Gausha was doing really what he needed to be able to do to get the victory in this fight. He was boxing really, really well on the back foot, on the forefoot. He did exactly what he needed to be able to do to get the victory. And unfortunately, we still have this type of politics in boxing where it's absolutely disgusting. This is never going to go away. No way in shape or form I believe Elijah Garcia was able to win this fight in any shape or form. He looked like the typical run of the mill Central American Mexican fighter that comes forward, it hits hard, has, good pressure and all this other stuff, but gets hit so many times. It was where, you know, he's not really much in nothing extraordinary. There's nothing bringing to the table that this guy has that a lot of other fighters have as well. And Terrell Gausha pulls off a great performance, a hell of a job. He deserved the victory in this performance, but you know how it is when, you know, politics trying to be able to protect the fighter, pre-written scorecards and all this nonsense with boxing. This always happens with boxing. This is never going to change. This is never going to go away. Thankfully, there is no thankfully. There is just this to be able to talk about. Terrell Gausha had a great performance. He should have got the victory. He did what he needed to be able to do. Even as a wily vet going against a young prospect like this, he needed to get the victory in this fight. And moving on up the card to the co-main event, we had Jesus Alejandro Ramos Jr. coming back very, very quick. Already off the win, I believe, against Jason Rosario last time out that I seen him against Guido Emmanuel Scrum, Argentinian guy. From what I've known and from what I heard on the commentary, was on a 3-fight losing streak, hadn't fought in like 250 days, but he's a late replacement type of fighter going against Jesus Ramos Jr., who is an absolute marauder. He's just coming in. He's Nah, I'm not gonna say he's swinging and banging, but the power on this dude is just tremendous, especially with that southpaw position in his left hand. He definitely has some venom in there. And shout out to Guido, man. I really have to give a lot of credit to Guido Emmanuel Scram because he hung in there for 7 rounds. When honestly, I thought in about 2 or 3 he would have got out of there, and pretty easily as well. But he stuck in there. He showed his toughness. He was competitive. He landed some nice shots for himself as well. I'm trying to be able to give any type of positives for him to be able to go forward with him in his career. But Jesus Ramos, man, gets the job done, does what he needs to be able to do in the 154-pound division. It is loaded full of talent. You got Xander Zayas, Virgil Ortiz, Jaron Ennis, I believe, is making his move up soon. Obviously, the headliner of this card, Sebastian Fundora, holding 2 of the belts. Yeah, Bakram, the first time I've ever seen him fight, was actually on the first ever, I believe, PBC on Prime Video card with him and Tim Zhu. Jermell Charlo's been out for quite some time, so maybe he's able to make a comeback. Errol Spence Jr. has been talking a long time for a 154 return for himself. So Jesus Ramos, man, is lining himself up for great names, more exciting and amazing fights for himself and his career. But he gets the job done against Guido Emmanuel Scrum. Shout out to Scrum again. He really was tough, man. Tough cookie, bro. He actually stood in there and took a lot of punishment, especially to the body. I don't know how he's able to take that type of punishment throughout the entirety of that fight. But, I mean, you get paid for a reason, right? But Jesus Ramos gets the job done. And so does the headliner, Sebastian Fundora, the holder of the WBO and WBC 154-pound belt titles, going against Chordell Booker. Never heard of this dude in my entire life. I know he fought against Austin Williams because I had to search that up while he was undefeated. Austin Williams recently got knocked out by Hamza Shiraz, dude that got just blatantly robbed against this dude, man. I mean, he knocked him out. But ever since then, Chordell, Austin Williams, they've been on a run. They've been doing what they need to be able to do. Again, but I mean, he hasn't fought anybody of note besides Austin Williams. He got knocked out by him. And Sebastian Fundora is coming off that war with Tim Zhu, which was an absolutely amazing bloodbath of a fight. Really, really entertaining. Takes about a year off, comes back against somebody that he can be able to know that he's going to get a victory over, and he gets the job done. This was pretty much easy work for Sebastian Fundora. Took him 4 rounds to eventually wear down and essentially dominate. Well, he dominated the entire fight, but dominate Chordell Booker. Just really to be able to get, I guess, a retain on the books, just get a defending of the belts. He's a defending champion. He can be able to say that. But Chordell Booker is no real competition. I understand as to why they put this on PBC on Prime Video. That's a bigger conversation that I'm probably going to have later for the video. But Sebastian Fundora is putting himself in a place where he wants to be able to unify. Background, I believe, has a belt. I don't know who holds the other belt in the 154-pound division. But again, like I mentioned earlier, Spence, Virgil Ortiz, Zayas, you had Jesus Ramos Jr. who won. Charlo, maybe a return. There's a lot of dudes with a lot of big names that he can be able to put himself and put his name in the hat in the ring to be able to get forward in his career, to be able to get bigger fights, get bigger paydays, and stake his name as a star in boxing. It's pretty much the name of the game for Sebastian Fundora. But before I go and end this video, this was the second time. I don't know if there was any other times besides this fight card and the Tim Zhu and Bakram fight card that PBC has put a fight card on Prime Video. The only reason I'm going to be complaining about this is because Top Rank not continuously, but every now and then, they have 2 cards a month, maybe 1, maybe 3 cards a month, on a basis, on ESPN, ESPN Plus. DAZN always has cards every now and then. They're not really leaving, or there's not much to be able to say to be desired. Same with Turkey Al-Sheikh every month, and now he's putting out a big card. Al Heyman and PBC has been stacking their pay-per-views. They're trying to bump up the numbers. They're trying to be able to compete with the likes of the UFC, Turkey. DAZN and Top Rank don't really put out stacked cards, really, especially for free TV. Uh, but PBC on Prime Video, we need to be able to see more of that. I mean, on Showtime, there was monthly, 2 to 3 times a month. On Fox, there was fight cards every now and then, or even more frequently than what it is as of right now for Prime Video. I want to be able to see more from PBC more frequently. Instead of always having these stacked cards, you can actually spread out these fights and have them, linger around more, have PBC out there more, have Prime Video out there more. I don't really know the contract, so I can't be able to tell you much about the numbers of how many fights they want to have per year on Prime Video, but I don't know, for a fan like me, and probably for most fans that, actually watch PBC and their fighters and their fights, and, obviously having Prime Video as an option to be able to watch these type of fights as well, you want to be able to have more quantity of it. I get on the UFC all the time because they have fights on the Apex, and their cards, especially on the Apex, can be really bad. If you're a UFC fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but if not every month, there's at least 4 to 3 fight cards a month. A month. They stay busy. They stay on top of it. There's always fights to be made. They're continuously booking. They continuously have cards open. And I know you can't obviously do the same thing with boxing. That's not how it works. But you can be a lot more frequently having these cards where you can put like a Charlo return. You can put a Spence return. I don't think a Spence return, unless it's like for a belt or a big fight with a big name, is obviously going to be on pay-per-view. Gervonta Tank Davis is obviously going to be on pay-per-view. David Benavidez is obviously going to be a pay-per-view. Those are the big headline names that PBC as of right now has. But besides those guys, I mean, you're not really going to have Fundora on a pay-per-view unless he's like a co-main. You're not going to have Fulton on a pay-per-view. He was a co-main. Because he's not going to be a headliner. So, yeah, those are things that happened over this weekend. PBC Prime Video card was okay. I was glad that it was actually, pretty short, sweet, to the point, good action throughout, but, not really big or noticeable because, again, they didn't really promote it, and not only did they really not promote it, they really don't put out a lot of fights on PBC on Prime Video that you can be able to watch and say that I really want to watch this guy fight. And I'm assuming they want to build up these stars, and that's what they want to do. But they got to be more on top of it, 100%. Kambosos gets the victory, puts his name in the hat for people to be able to pick out potentially a prospect, potentially an older fighter that has a name. Yeah, why not? Who wouldn't be able to want to see that? I know Kambosos can be able to bring some type of action whenever he's going to be able to fight, but those are the boxing news this weekend. Boxing fans, like this video if you obviously like this video. Comment your opinions on the PBC card, Judge Kambosos, or my thoughts on PBC on Prime Video and what they should be able to do. Obviously, subscribe to this channel if you want to be able to see more of this type of content. Obviously, if you're a boxing fan and you love this type of videos with the boxing news, they're going to stay consistent. If you want consistency, I'm going to bring that to you always. Thank you again for watching again, and peace.